What's up, everyone? So, the reason why I'm making this video is because I've noticed a lot that AI creates brain rot, right? And I've noticed that as a developer, as an engineer, I have started losing my skill set. Um, and that's not good because vibe coding does actually help us work a lot better. But in the end, it really does mess with our brains. It makes us forget simple things. And I would have had this instance at work where I would have been given a TLV string, right? For those of you who don't know, that's type, length, and value. So, for example, if you were given a hexadecimal value and you needed to, oh, yeah, let's just pretend that didn't happen just now. Right. So imagine you were given a TLV string, right? And you needed to extract values from that string. So you were given the type, you were given the length, and you were given the value. And you needed to know exactly what was the type, what was the length, and what was the value. So I was actually given that problem at work and I was unable to solve it. So this is just gonna be a version of me just trying to uh regain that skill that I would have lost because like why would I not be able to pass a simple string like that, right? And I'm gonna basically show you what I've been working on, right? So imagine you were given a string of this length. It's really long, of course, and you needed to know what was the size. Excuse me, I do have a cough. Right. Kind of sick right now, so please bear with me. What was the size, the length, and the value, right? Something as simple as this I was unable to do because I've been vibe coding for over a year now. And when I was given this problem at work, I had to vibe code it. And then I was like, wait, you've learned string manipulation before you even had a job, before AI was even a thing. You should be able to do this. And when I realized I wasn't able to do this, it really hit me. So let's make this a lot simpler. So imagine you have a TLV, as I said, um, TLV, right? So that's a type, a length, and a value. So the type essentially refers to what type of data that you're dealing with. The length refers to the length of the value, and the value just refers to whatever the value is. So for example, if the type of message this is how much money went inside of a machine, right? How much money went inside of a machine. So with that, we need to know the length of that value. So let's say the length was, I don't know, 4, right? 0, 4. And then the value would be something like, let's say 300. No, 3,000, right? So whatever length is, the value would be that length in string. So as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4. If this was 5, 5, right? So imagine you have a hexadecimal kind of format, right? And this is the data that you were to get. T1 04 3000. And this was returning from some API, right? Imagine this was returning from some API. And you needed to get this back, sorry, you needed to get this back to your client, right? So the question is, how do we pass this into on the UI? So in other words, how do we get this as money in 3000 on the UI if this is what the machine returned, right? So this was my little problem. I had to vibe code this and I realized that I didn't know what I was doing. Because remember, T1 refers to money in, uh 04 refers to the length of the string or uh the number, and 3000 refers to the value. So this is what made me make this video, because my brain has been fried. Right? And I've been using Gemini actually to solve this. Well, Gemini didn't solve it for me. I used Gemini as an assistant. And for those of you who are experiencing exactly what I have been experiencing, uh, you can try this as well for yourself. So basically, this prompt was just me telling it to build my understanding, give me fun size string manipulation challenges, walk me through, etc. Right? So it gave me these exercises, and I thought I'd share it with you guys. So this is basically the task. Write a function, pass TLV stream that passes a single TLV record. The type is 2 characters, length is 2 characters, which is a hex number. This is very, very important for character length, and value is the rest. So here you'd have T1, which is the type of data, 05, which is the length, and hello, which is the value, right? So we need to essentially cut this part out, then we need to cut this part out, and then we need to cut this part out separately. How do we do that? Well, this is why we have coding. So let's say, well, all right. So basically, of course, you would have the type because it's TLV. So the type is going to be stream.slice. And if you don't know what the slice function is, or you've probably forgot, the index to the beginning of the specified portion of a string object returns a section of a string. And what that means is there is a start and there is an end. So the start is essentially where you want to start in the string and where you want to end. And the end that you want to end at, you are not actually going to get that value. So we know that these are indexed, strings are indexed. So that's ugly. So T is going to be at index 0, 1 is going to be at index 1, 0 is going to be at index 2, 4 is going to be at index 3, 3 is going to be at index 4, 5, 6, 7, right? And yes, right, cool. So we know this. So if it is that you want to get type, of course, we know that this is going to be 0, 0 to 2, right? I should probably increase this a lot. Oh, this is going to be 0 to 2, right? So we're going to start from 0 and we're going to end at 2. Now, the reason why I'm showing this visually is because this is actually the proper way to do data structures and algorithms when you actually have a whiteboard and you do it on the side, right? So this is going to give you T1. So we start at T, which is at the next 0, and we ended at 2. So we're going to get up to 0 and 1. We're not actually going to get 0 after 1, right? and then we have the length. So stream.slice. Of course, we're going to start at 2 here, and we're going to end at 4, right? So this is where we stopped, and this is where we're going to end. So we got this already, so now we're going to get this, right, which is 0, 4, and then let value be equal to stream.slice. So the value here is going to be 4 up to 7. Nice. So you're gonna see you're gonna see issues here with this code, by the way. So let's now return type length value. As I said, you're gonna see issues here. So as you can see, we got T1 as the type, we got 4 as the value, but we got 300 as, sorry, we got 4 as the length and we got 300 as the value. The reason is because we stopped at 7. In fact, we were actually supposed to stop at imaginary index, which would have been 8. This is what I was referring to before. So if you come back here now, you can still get 3000. While this does work, it doesn't work effectively because these values may not always be the same. 4 might be 5, it might be 10, it might be 15, and we would have had coded this value here. So we need a way to increase this value n times, right? And n would just basically refer to the length, right? So that's very simple. So the question is, how do we increase this as 4 grows? So essentially, all we need to know is that whatever 4 is, or whatever the length is, that is how much we are going up to, or adding 1 to. So all we need to know is that for the value, we are starting where we left off, and we are going up to the length plus wherever we left off, right? So you would notice here now that we do have an issue. Argument of type string is not assignable to parameter of type number. That is because this is type string. So because each time you slice an item out of a string, it obviously is a string. So what we need to do is we need to use parse int. And this would now parse the value as a number, which is 4. However, this 4 is automatically converted to base 10. As you can see, it says it converts a string to an integer, right? So even if this was 0, 0, 0, 4, right? And we were to do 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's say we were to do up to 7. You would notice we still get 4 because this is in base 10. And as the challenge would have said, right? This is what it said. A hex number. So that is very important because 0, 4 is not always going to be 0, 4. 0, 4 can actually be 0A. And because it is 0A, we get 0. Why? Because A is not a number. Therefore, this function here would return probably undefined or NaN, not a number. So we need to actually convert it from base 16. And here you would see we get 10, right? So that's if this was 0A. But if we were to turn it back to 0, 4, As you can see, we get 4. So parsing is very important. So that being said, that's really all this is. So, and I would have also gone through a few other items. So if we were to return this on the UI, of course, we would do something like, um, oh, we would probably just extract type and extract value. And this, of course, would be type, and this here would be value. Exactly. So that is essentially what I've been working on. And when I did this, it really made me think properly. And it really opened up my eyes. So I'm looking forward to doing more of these challenges. There is more to this than usual. Um, for example, what if the string wasn't just fixed? What if we had multiple of these values occurring? For instance, what if this wasn't the only one? You know, what if what if we had a very long string here, a very long string, just like this, and we needed to go through each one and essentially get them. So that's what I'm gonna do in the next video. So it's gonna be fun, at least for me. I don't know about you. So I'm just gonna finish it off here. You know, nothing too exciting. But the purpose of this is really just to document my journey. Um, hopefully, you guys do learn something from it, and even if you are a developer and you do see things that I have not considered, of course, you can feel free to drop it down there, and I'd like it. So, without further ado, peace.